us. Girls want to us, wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Pump. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3, bang every MC easily.
Take that.
Recently, niggas frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just speak my peace, keep my peace. Cubans with the Jesus peace, with my peace. Packing, asking who want it. You got it, nigga, flaunt it. That Brooklyn bullshit, we on it.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake.
I put hoes in NY onto DKNY. Miami, DC, prefer Versace.
That's right.
All Philly hoes know it's Moschino. Every cutie with the booty, boy, the coochie. Now who's the real dookie? Meaning who's really the shit? Them niggas ride dicks. Frank White push the 6 on the Lexus LX 4.5. Bulletproof glass tints if I want some ass. Gon' blast squeeze first, ask questions last. That's how most of these so-called gangsters pass. At last, a nigga rapping about blunts and broads, tits and bras, menage a trois, sex and expensive cars, and still leave you on the pavement. Condo paid for, no car payment. At my arraignment, note for the plaintiff. Your daughter's tied up in the Brooklyn basement. Face it, not guilty. That's how I stay true. Richer than richer, so you niggas come and get me.
Come on.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake.
I can fill you with real millionaire shit. That's cargo, my cargo, 160, swiftly. Wreck it by your new one. Your crew run, your crew run. I know you sick of this name brand nigga with flows. Girls say he's sweet like licorice. So get with this, nigga, it's easy. Girlfriend, here's a bitch. Call me round 10, come through, have sex on rugs, that's Persian.
That's right.
Come up to your job, hit you while you're working, for certain. Papa freaking, not speaking, leave that ass leaking like rapper demo. Tell them who, take their clothes off slowly. Kill them with the force like Obi, dick black like Kobe, watch me roam like Romy. Lucky they don't owe me, where to say show me, homie.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake.
Come on.
Hot, sicker than your average. Papa twist cabbage off instinct. Niggas don't think shit stink. Pink Gators, my Detroit players. Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn. Dead right, if the head right, Biggie there every night. Papa been smooth since days of under rules. Never lose, never choose to. Bruise, cruise who? Do something to us. Talk, go through us. Girls want to us, wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Pump. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3, bang every MC easily.
Take that.
Recently, niggas frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just.
Fellow Americans, snowflakes, motherfuckers alike, we are all here. Happy Thursday. Is it Thursday? I don't even know what day of the goddamn week it is. It's Thursday. Feels like a Monday. My days all just blend together. Guys, I'll tell you, I put a little post, and I break the goddamn interwebs when I put up a little post about, like, just anything that's going on, and a bunch of goddamn snowflakes fall out of nowhere. Now, when you click on their accounts, these little bitches, they don't have a picture up, they don't have any posts, they don't have any followers. I don't know if they're bots or if they're little Chinamen sitting over in China finger banging me. I don't know what the deal is, but for you Medford hooligans out there, when you see this shit, just gangbang them and get them off, get them to shut their mouths. It's unbelievable. I said the Biden administration, I did a post last night that said Biden administration, insists on dishonorable discharge for military members who don't want to get the vaccine. You'd have think I'd have just said that the world is flat and I was burning a cross in someone's front yard. People went batshit crazy at me. And everybody needs to fucking calm down. It is the right, it is the duty, it is our job as citizens and thinking human beings to speak truth to power. Truth to power. We're supposed to be yelling at the man. When the man is wrong, we're supposed to yell at them. And when they're not wrong and they're just there, we're supposed to be squinty-eyed pointing at them and say, we're watching you sons of bitches. Because absolute power corrupts absolutely. Today, you guys have got a guest on who's a shooter. And I'm not sure how much I can tell you about her background. I don't want to get her in trouble at work or anything. She can let that go on the show. But this is, everybody say hello to Ursula. And she's coming in to say hi with us today. Come on in, Ursula. Oh, don't be shy. Get over here. I'm not going to bite you. How you doing?
We're like dry humping this barrel already.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird.
I just got here.
I know. All right. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And you?
Good. So, where in Arizona do you live?
I live just outside of Phoenix, so
okay.
It's still so Phoenix area.
All right, so you're greater metropolitan.
Yes.
All right, and how'd you get hooked into coming down here and doing a podcast with me?
Man, because 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, so pretty much got a buddy who is one of your media guys, I guess.
Yep.
That was like, yo,
buddies with Bobby.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my God, that should be a whole segment in itself.
We should do a thing called Buddies with Bobby, like
right
with
there.
A little chart,
yeah,
little line, all these
a little
different
flow
people.
chart, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know him from him, and it is, yeah.
So I read a little bit of your story. You're straight out of Detroit.
Yep.
How long you been down here?
Since I was 16, so about almost 20-something years.
Really?
So, yeah.
Do you know the other 8 black people that live in Arizona?
They all play for the Suns. But
it's funny. Like I'm pretty plain spoken guy, so I have been accused of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I have been called everything. I've had people leave shit at my house, at my office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a hostile world, and I kind of hang it out pretty hard. I think it's there's an interesting dynamic that's happened really since the Trump effect.
Mm-hmm.
And so give me a little idea, because we've just met like 3 minutes ago,
Yes,
and I'm like, hey,
sure
here's
did.
how you talk on the microphone. And give me a little idea kind of where your ethos kind of falls down in the world of politics and
so
like
pretty
America.
much grew up in Detroit, then basically got out here, finished high school, went to college, got into law enforcement.
Where'd you go to school?
Here, ASU.
Yep. Okay, cool.
So double major in biochemistry and sociology, so I can make drugs or bombs, pretty much.
Nice.
Actually, I did a class on how to make homemade tannerite for one of my general instructor schools.
Oh, that's got you on a watch list.
Oh yeah, I've been on a watch list probably my entire career at this point because I'm outspoken. I let people know if something's wrong and how to fix it. Because if you tell people something's wrong, you're just bitching at that point.
Right.
Yeah, you're not.
I was just gonna say bitching.
Yeah,
I'm like
bitching.
enough bitching.
Yeah.
Just what's the fix?
Like how to fix it and actually be willing to make that fix. So from that and actually seeing how growing up in Detroit voting wise, once it became a voting age, I had my whole family, which are all black. They're like, hey, you supposed to vote. I know, right? Shocking. I like to tell people I'm Hawaiian just to mess with them.
Out here,
then,
like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, then I actually met
really?
real Hawaiians, and I was wrong. So I don't look Hawaiian at all.
Right.
But when I became a voting age, I got a lot of my family members are like, hey, you're supposed to vote Democrat, because you're black. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And actually growing up in Detroit and seeing how Democrats ruined Detroit, like Detroit looks like RoboCop 1. Like it's almost that bad. And it's been looking like that since the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And seeing how Democrats destroy an area that I lived in and then moving out here where it's like, man, our freeways are great. They're clean. Like you can actually see your tax dollars at work out here.
Yeah.
You see the services that we have. They're great. Why? Because we pay those taxes, even though taxation is still theft. But you can actually see a product of a Republican ran city versus a Democrat ran city. So in college, that's when the transition to conservatism happened. Like I started making money, and then other people are like,
What years were you in college?
02 to 5, 6.
Because there was already wokety woke going on. We just didn't call it woke then, but it was wokety woke already. Because it was wokety woke when I was in college.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm a couple years older than
especially
you are.
ASU. So you have such a big, diverse crowd. You have kids everywhere. We got foreign exchange students. We got everybody and their mom, and then you have all these different views of America already out there. Like, oh well, America is racist. I'm like, how? And when I start asking all those questions, that's when it was like, no, I'm conservative, because I ask these questions and I want to know the answer. And if you're not giving me an actual factual answer and it's all emotion, then I don't want to be a part of that.
It's kind of like the discussion has taken a natural condition of humans and it's made it an evil thing. And I'll explain myself. So, my dad's side of the family is all from Mississippi and Texas, and my grandfather was in law enforcement.
Right.
So he dropped the N-bomb. He had no problem dropping the N-bomb, but it was not with vitriol or hatred. It was a old-fashioned use of the word, okay? And it's the way I've heard black guys when I was in the military say, oh, that means this. And I go, okay. And they go, but that's not for you. And I'm like, okay, I don't care, whatever. But I heard these words dropped around me, and so they were part of something, but there wasn't a bunch of anger or rage attached to them. There was a definition attached to them. Now, as awful as it may sound, it just kind of fit into my worldview. It didn't mean I was out hating everybody of one thing or the other. And but it was something I have had to wrestle with, because the things that guys say, the things that white guys say when they're alone, when they're fishing, when there's no witnesses, when the phones aren't on, is different than the public persona for most people. Mine's pretty the same, and it causes me lots of grief. But I think that everybody is, if you want to define racism as everybody has questions, curiosities, and tribalism around race, then I think everybody's pretty racist in some way or the other. And then we struggle with does that steer my choices? Does that steer my life? Does that steer my preconceptions of people? Or do I wrestle with that? Because we all see color. We all see height.
Yep.
We all see fat. We all see old. We all see short. I think a lot of things get smashed together. So bias, prejudice, racism, I think those all get smashed together interchangeably. I think there's bias in everybody. And I think those get confused for racism. I try to find, what is it in me, in my upbringing? And I think a lot of people wrestle with this. We've heard stuff. We have preconceived notions. They put heart monitors on people and show them pictures, and they could tell people react differently to people of different color. And it's wrestling with that. I think everybody is trying to wrestle with that.
It depends on when you were born and what seeds were planted. Because growing up in Detroit, my parents, they did not give us that, hey, you're black, so the man is going to be, chasing after you. You won't be able to, to succeed because you're black. My parents never planted that. So they didn't plant that self-victimization that you commonly see in the black community nowadays. Whereas,
what percentage of African Americans do you think are like that? What that come from the victim versus the kind of hey, no one's keeping me down?
I think you can kind of see it now, social media wise, because I don't know the exact percentage, but if you look at social media, you can see how many more outspoken conservatives there are. That tells you right there that obviously they don't have that self-victimization mentality.
Well, I see that with black conservatives, but I'm curious, because I've never been to a holiday dinner with 18 black people. I don't know.
I'm me either. So it's really hard for me to actually put a percentage. I would, if I had to throw numbers out there,
just your gut,
I would say about 60-40, maybe even loose, 70-30, where you have the black victimization, or the self-victimization going on, along with with 30% of your actual black conservatives are they don't put their failures on somebody or something else.
I think it's a very modern convention, because I don't think it was like this in 1940. I think we had hardcore systematic racism going on in the country at the time, but I don't think your average family was thinking those terms. They were thinking hey, There's going to be people with their boot on your neck, but you got to get around it and find a way to survive and thrive.
Right.
I think that was prevalent. I think now this is like a weird rebound because, I was reading about black literacy in 1929. It was greater than white literacy in the United States. Marriage was higher.
But at that time, going to school, being educated was against the law.
Right.
Like you couldn't. So therefore, just like things today, like you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna want to do it more.
Right.
So I can see that now with education, going back to that, like our education system is so horrible, absolutely so horrible. So I actually went to school in
But at
Detroit
least they've got masks.
Oh yeah, keeping them safe.
We're gonna make you stupid, but we're gonna keep you safe.
Oh yeah, it is completely dumb, and we're also gonna weaken your immune system at that. So we're gonna slowly kill you off. That's what I feel about masks. But now our education system is so dumb. I actually came from the Detroit public school system and then got into the Phoenix public school system, and I was already ahead. Like I already maxed out on like the Ames test, which is like one of the biggest.
It's a standardization test.
Test. And I freaking maxed out on all of those.
Where were you in Phoenix? Where were you in Phoenix?
Like what school?
Where'd you go to high school?
Oh, I finished at Camelback.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was basically legit Phoenix Union District High School. And,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird. I grew up, I was in Paradise Valley and Scottsdale Unified School Districts. And I showed up in Massachusetts for high school. It's one of the premier educational places in America. And I showed up and I was a year or two ahead of everybody. There's a part of this town that it's cranking, and then the rest of the state's not so much.
Yeah, it's really odd.
Yeah.
Absolutely odd of like how you would think Detroit public school system, place that look like it totally needs RoboCop, and I can come down here and actually be like test out of like almost all my classes. Only reason why I stayed the last 2 years when I moved down here and stayed in high school was because I wanted to play basketball.
Is school still like that down up in Detroit?
I don't know. I haven't been back. Actually, I was talking to a buddy of mine last night about actually going back and to visit because I haven't been back in like over 10 years.
Yeah.
And my last visit, went to visit a family member, older sister of mine, and like the apartment complex she was in was getting raided, and I'm like, yeah, and raided by feds. Like, so I'm like, this is some big stuff that's going on here.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny because like apparently I have this command presence, this look about me, and when I showed up, and I had like my backpack and I'm ready to go hang out with my sister, a couple of feds are like, hey,
are you with us?
Yeah.
What department are you with?
Yeah, I'm like, nah, bro. Yeah, nope. Don't even want to be a part of it. You know what? Better yet, I ain't even got to go in this building. So like, I was like, I'm just gonna wait out here. No, I'm good.
So, tell us what you do for a living.
So I'm a detention officer.
Okay.
So I work in the jail system, and
private or public?
County.
County. Okay.
Yeah. So basically private. So or excuse me, public.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at some of the private ones. I'm like, no, they're customer service based. That ain't my style. Like, for the most part, if you end up in jail, that's because you put yourself in jail.
Yeah.
And funny thing about the whole racism thing, I experienced more racism from black inmates than I have from any other race that you will find in jail. Because the jail population is going to be a reflection of the community population. So you have basically everything you see out there. That's what we have in there. Just
Right.
a small version of
Right.
it. But like I've been called more niggas, Uncle Toms, house nigger, which is actually probably one of my favorites. I'm like, I am light skinned, so theoretically that could be right if it was a different time frame. But all right,
That's a little Malcolm X for jail.
yeah. So like all because I work for the man, and I'm
Right.
like, I don't owe you shit, dude. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like where is this disconnect is at, but it's actually been just a very fun ride. I've been in for 16.7 years.
So you're gonna try to wrap up, get 20 or what?
20, yeah.
Yeah. And then what are you gonna do?
Probably go shoot and teach full time because I'm a gypsy to the state, so I don't. Pretty much the only thing that's keeping me here is this job and shooting. So,
Okay. Was your first time out of the country when you went and shot in France?
yes.
Is that your first time international?
Yes.
What'd you
That
think?
Oh my God. So the experience itself was so much fun, but there's so many people that love America, that absolutely love America. And that is because of our gun rights. Because if you look at what's
Especially
going on,
if you go to a shooting event
Yeah,
in Europe.
yeah.
Because they're used to having they have a little electronic device up their ass with a wire that goes back to the clubhouse that
Yeah, they
goes
let
straight to the state police. And so when they come here, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, do you guys want to go shoot? And they're like, yes. They're like, can we do that? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to shoot? They're like, what do you have? I'm like, you tell me what you want. I got
Yeah,
whatever you
like, we got it. We got it.
I got whatever you want to shoot.
Yeah.
They're freaked out. You know who's like that is Japanese people too.
Yep.
When like anybody Japanese, when my Japanese friends go, hey, let's go shooting.
Because they've
They're
been on airsoft forever.
Right.
So
a real gun, Greg? I'm like, yeah. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, dude.
so
Fantastic.
it's so funny. But like, so the Shotgun World shoot went in 2018. Was just outside of France, or excuse me, just outside of Paris.
Yeah.
So it was in Châteauroux, and there was like about 40 countries represented. And they all were like, oh my God, we love America because you can have all the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of these other countries that, you know, we competed against, like they had to give up like their firstborn just to have the gun that they're competing with.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I know we have the American mentality that like we will burn your country down. We will kick your ass. But holy crap, if you only got one gun, you're going to be really good on that one gun. So it wasn't like a walk in the park. It was actually pretty good competition there. But that was the number one thing everybody and their mom was like, you get to have all these guns. You have all these rights.
Well, if you look at what's going on in Australia right now with the protests they've got going down there, and you have the armed police, the armed civil authority shooting and basically attacking. If you watch the video, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
They're attacking peace. I mean, the protests are peaceful. They're not flipping over cars and burning the place. But
They weren't
pissed.
doing, you know, what they were doing for Floyd. But one thing I thought was funny, there was one video that posted up was 2 cops pepper spraying an old lady on the ground. Holy crap, my ass would have got fired on the spot.
Yeah.
If I use that level of force here in America.
The left, the left doesn't care. The government is right about everything, and this is why they want to take our guns.
Yep.
It's really not about lives. It's not about safety.
It's all about control.
And what they do is they're playing on. This is the best thing that's happened. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but this coronavirus hitting, and I know I'm going to just get railed online for this, but this is the glasses being pulled off. This is the veil being pulled off. The people that are pro-authoritarian government, the people that are pro-big government, the people that are pro-lockdown, pro-mask, pro-vaccine. I'm glad I know who these motherfuckers are, because I'm telling you, if there was a call to arms right now, I'm that hostile towards what's going on with my countrymen. And what the left does, it's been pulling on those people like marionettes for the last 70 years, lying to everybody, and it's always about the children and safety and making this a safer place, and it's not right. And we need to make it safer, and it's those same fucking lemmings who are running around with 2 fucking masks on in their car by themselves. They've had their fucking 3rd booster shot, and they think I'm a murderer because I won't.
Yep. So and that's one reason why it totally pushed me to be even more outspoken. So there was a buddy of mine who, not a buddy anymore, but anywho, knew this cat from the beginning of college and known him for like the last like 10 plus years. We're no longer friends. So white dude, he ended up marrying an Asian woman, and ended up basically having adopting her son. So he has a little Asian stepson. So I posted up something pro-gun like I normally do on my Facebook page, because if you're on my Facebook page, it's pretty private. Like I have to know you in order for you to be on that. So this guy was like, well, we need well, Trump was, Orange Man bad, all that extra stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever, bro. You can feel whatever you want to feel. I'm not here to change your mind. I don't care. And he's like, well, Trump's a racist. And, if it wasn't for Trump calling, coronavirus the Chinese virus, and my son wouldn't be getting picked on at school. I'm like, can your son fight? I mean, can he protect himself? Stop trying to change the
his
world.
son's
What
not
you
getting
think?
picked on at school because of Chinese coronavirus.
No, I'm like, you can't.
That's a red herring. That's a red herring
Right.
argument. Bullshit.
So
I know what's going on in school. You can't make fun of you. When I was in school, you could make fun of, like, people made fun of everybody for everything. Like
for everything.
It was the Lord of the fucking Flies.
Yeah.
Now I've got 2 kids in school. You can't make fun of anybody for anything.
I know, and I'm totally against the whole anti-bullying thing. We need bullies. Nature has bullies. That's how you evolve as a species and also as a person. You need those bullies.
Yeah.
I'm like, what you need to do is teach a kid how to fight, and you won't have these problems.
Right.
I'm like, look, nobody picked on the Asian kids growing up. You know why? Because, misconception. Everybody thought all the Asian people were like all Bruce Lees, and nobody wanted to say anything to them. So Asian kids didn't get picked on. So and that was Detroit public school system. I know that some people are probably going to blow up your stuff. They're going to be like, she's racist. Nope. I'm just telling you what happened in the hood growing up. So he was so mad, and actually called him a racist. I was like, bro, you're absolutely racist, because this was right after the whole, like, the 4 Asian women that was killed in Atlanta by some angry white dude, whatever. He's all like, well, you know, people are mean and all this extra stuff. I'm like, teach your kid how to fight, and, you know, and teach your wife how to protect herself. And like, for the fact that you feel like that they're incapable of doing that because of their race makes you a racist.
Well, Jeff calls it the country. What does he call it? The cuntism of our country. There are a bunch of males walking around who are not empowered. They've been neutered by their upbringing and by all the lady teachers, and they've quelled them. There's nobody fist fighting anymore. And, you know, I don't want to live in a violent world of war, but I don't mind one of black eyes. And I don't mean black guys, I mean black eyes. Yeah. I think it's okay for guys to get popped in the mouth. I think it's okay. I mean, I got popped in the mouth when I got a line a few times, and I also popped back. I think, like, I see people, you know, it's interesting. You see a lot of women flip people off when they're driving. Because nobody will pull them over and pop them in the mouth. But you don't see guys flip off very much. Because them fucking fighting words. Like, dudes will draw down.
Right.
Like, remember that off-duty sheriff who got shot out in Sun City a couple of years ago? He got into a road rage thing over a flip off, and he pulled his gun and came out, hadn't identified himself as a sheriff yet, and the dude in the car shot him. And I was like, okay, well, you didn't, well, that's just road rage crazy.
But growing up at the time, or growing up, you know, when I was growing up, fighting, that was like the way you squashed everything. So now we have a whole bunch of, in my opinion, a whole bunch of cowards. They're quick to the gun, instead of actually like, hey, we're going to step out the car, we're going to talk about this. If it goes to blows, it goes to blows. Even when I got on as an officer, we used to call it white teeing, because our undershirts at the time were white before, you know, we went to black undershirts. And like, you had beef with an officer, y'all go duke it out in the parking lot. Nobody said anything. Everybody was cool, shook hands. Everybody went to work the next day. That's how it was. Now we have all these like super soft people, and I actually had a conversation about this morning with Mike Pannone, really awesome guy, and I was like, dude, technology has made Americans soft. Yeah, like, it's horrible how soft people are, and how many more cowards that we have walking the earth.
You know, when people walk around in fear, every little thing makes them emotionally overreact.
Yes.
So you overreact to a virus, you overreact to a cold, you overreact to someone saying, hey, I'm not worried about it. What's wrong with you? You're going to be killing people. What about my grandmother? Like, they get really crazy about it.
And then when you say something to throw off their OODA loop, like, fuck your grandma, and they're like, well, why? I'm like, if your grandma has a strong immune system and she's healthy, she ain't got nothing to worry about. So why? Because my grandma has lupus, and I'm, you know how your friends' parents and grandparents become your friends and grandparents? So one of my close buddies, his grandma, I'm like the closest thing that she has to a granddaughter. Like, I visit her every, you know, several times a year. I'll even go up and winterize her house, you know, all that type of stuff, because she's up in Winslow, and she has lupus, and she's like 80-something years old. She's not afraid of coronavirus. Why should I be afraid of?
It's a lot of older people, especially the ones that are not in homes yet. They're like, Sonny, I'm gonna die anyways, and I've been dealing with people dying for a long time, so you know, like I talked about, like, I'm not worried about coronavirus, and you know, my mom's 70 something, my dad's 70 something, Amy's parents are in their 80s. They've been around us throughout this whole thing, and they're all like, well, you know, if we're gonna go, we're gonna go, but you know, we having dinner on Sunday, you know, like, yeah, we're not wearing a mask, and like, well, you know, the kids are at school, yeah, that's no problem. I'm like, well, the kids aren't wearing masks, and they're like, nope, that's okay. So there's another family member, their parents, who are like my extended relatives, their parents are, you know, like, F the man, I'm not wearing a mask, and screw y'all, I'm driving my pickup to town to get groceries. And they are just beside themselves mad at their parents for being so reckless. It's like some sort of immature, but that's what I see going on. These are grown-ups, and they think they just know better than everybody, including their parents, who are doing just fine, you know, in their 70s and 80s, taking care of themselves, and they think their parents are just morons, and they got to save their parents. And I see that going on everywhere. It's absolutely maddening.
It's crazy. Like, the fact that somebody can't let you live your life like we've been doing forever. But all of a sudden, you know, we have this corona thing that I'm totally going to survive. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure SHOT Show crud of 2020 was corona at this point.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I was pretty sure I came back with, I told everybody, I said, man, you know, I slapped cameras out of a lot of Chinese hands, and I guarantee you I got the coronavirus. And my doctor and I got in a fight about it. He's like, there's no way you have coronavirus. I'm like, I totally do. There's no way. I'm like, I can't smell. You could throw shit on my face and I can't smell it. Are you kidding me? He's like, oh no, that's a regular cold. I go, that's not a regular cold. I've never had that before. I can't smell anything because I'm really into cooking. And then it turns out I actually did have corona.
Oh, so because like I didn't. This was before they got gave a name to it.
Right.
So, but
This
then,
is
like
January.
yeah, this was January, like the end of January into February. And what was funny is that like I always leave the Friday of shot, like the morning of Friday of shot. That way I can go to work. Then I have Saturday, Sundays off, so I can come back, BS for a whole night, and then go back to my normal work schedule. So on my way home, I started with a dry cough. And then I went to work, so I was totally patient zero at my job. Like, oh, well, whatever. It happens. Then Saturday, Sunday off. I ended up breaking fever Sunday into Monday. Like, I woke up drenched. Like, I thought I pissed myself. And I'm just like, and the guy was dating at the time. I was like, you good? Like, I don't know what just happened, but I felt weird over the weekend, and I broke fever. All right, cool. And then what I normally do whenever I do get sick, because I'm pretty much a hippie, so I'm a vegan. I don't know if that was actually disclosed at some point of your recount of
You're a
it.
vegan?
I am totally vegan.
Are you lesbian?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be gay for pay. I'm trying to retire early. So Oprah, just saying, if you need security.
Listen, all I know is Jason, who's kind of put my audio system together. He goes, if you ask her that, I go, I'm totally going to ask her. He goes, if you ask her that, I don't know. I'm fucking that.
I'm trying to retire early. So,
Well,
hey,
as Steinfeld would say, and not that there'd be anything wrong with it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, we're just a bunch of assholes. So, go ahead.
No, so I did what I normally do whenever I get a flu or a cold, whatever. Yeah. I go for fun, have the spiciest fun possible. So I did that for like a week, and then I had the COPD cough for like 2 weeks, and I was good. So like, but I don't normally get sick.
Have you gotten tested for antibodies since?
Nope. I don't trust the government that much.
You know,
I'm like,
you know what's funny? I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all because I don't think motherfuckers can keep a secret.
True.
Like, I just think the simplest explanation is usually it because you can't fucking throw a rock in this country without a video and somebody tell. Like, you got to kill everybody. That's the only way you can do a conspiracy.
True.
Because like, I killed Kennedy. There'd be some drunk Irish guy down at the bar in Dallas saying he killed Kennedy with with his buddy Jimmy, and there's just no way they keep this stuff secret. But what's happened here is, so everyone says, "Oh, you're an anti-vaxxer," and I go, "No, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. My kids have all been vaccinated. I'm really cool with big science that's tested out and works. But as we've gotten more knowledgeable as humans in this modern era of information, I'm also skeptical. Like when I've had black people attack me and say, why wouldn't you? And I go, do you know the government sterilized black people in the South, the Tuskegee experiments? Do you know that they have done unknowing sickle cell infection?
Yep.
Are you fucking kidding me? If you're black, you shouldn't trust the government at all. So and people say, when is the government? I'm like, well, let me give you two off the top of my head, and I'm fucking nobody. I'm sure there's more. When I was in the Gulf, they were really worried about anthrax. And so they gave us this fucking horse pill was twice as big as this. And they said, you need to take this. And they got us all in formation the way the government does. We put it in our hand, thing of water. And I was like, I'm looking on the pill. There's no number. There's no codes. And everything you can find in a manual, there's drug books that you can know exactly what's in this. And I said, hey, there's no markings on this. And they're like, fucking shut up, Lance Corporal. And I was like, hey, I'm not going to take this, and I don't think any of us should. I'll take my chances with anthrax because there'll be a nuclear war if that happens. But I don't know what this is. So they screamed at me, they yelled at me, they threatened to court-martial me, sent me to a battalion commander, and then he basically said, what's the deal? Now I think about this now. I'm like a 20-year-old kid. This guy's some 38-year-old colonel in the Marine Corps, and I'm like, well, sir, I'm not putting anything in my body. I know what it is, and I don't know what that is, and I don't trust the government. Do you know what it is? He can't tell me the name of the drug. I said, sir, you don't know the name of the drug. Nobody else knows the name of the drug, and we're supposed to take it for the possibility of some sort of biological warfare. I go, I'm not taking it. Well, years later, as it turned out, everybody was saying that Gulf War illness might have been connected to this experimental preventative drug that were put on because it wasn't an approved drug and it didn't have a number and it hadn't been through human clinical trials. Okay, so that's just me.
Right.
That's me. I know of a couple things that happened to the African American community in this country and and I went, listen, when the doctors are telling me I should be doing this, I'm cool with it. When the government's telling me I have to do it, they can fuck right off 6 ways from Sunday, because I don't trust them about anything. They Y2K, that was gonna, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
The world was gonna collapse, airplanes were gonna fall out of the sky. It's just one thing after the other they're gonna go after you with, and I'm like, you've lost credibility. And then if we're not allowed to ask questions,
Yep, that was a red flag. Actually, that was one of many red flags. So with the COVID thing, like everybody, the first 2 weeks, everybody was like, yo, we don't know what the hell's going on. Are we under attack? You know, all that type of stuff. So like same thing when 9/11 happened. Like the first couple of days after 9/11, everybody was like, yo, we were just attacked. What we going to do? What's the plan? So same thing that happened with Corona. So like week 3, week 2.5, week 3, I'm like, if they're saying that basically anything can be used as a mask, and there's not a lot of people like dropping dead, like the videos of like China and stuff where there's people are dead in the streets, I'm like, yeah, no, this is some bullshit. The fact that a t-shirt can be used as a mask, I'm not buying this.
now I get where they're coming from, because if you get somebody with the morning light behind them talking, you can see the little spittle and spray coming out of their mouth. We've all sat in a meeting like, so I get that component of it, but it's like people don't understand virology. Now look, I'm no virologist, but I've been reading about it for the last year, like many people have. And you get the vaccine, you can still carry it. So people say, oh, you get the vaccine, you're going to kill my grandmother. I'm like, no, I can still carry it.
And pass it on.
Yeah. And I'm like, we've been doing vaccines for the flu for my entire life that I know of, and we don't get rid of the flu.
Yep.
The elderly really have to, and so the elderly always get flu shots. They kind of have to in nursing homes. It's part of their bylaws in most places, right? And they all got, kind of decimated by a SARS family virus. There's some theories out there that say having taken all of those other vaccines for, it changes every year. It's not the same flu vaccine. They kind of guess which one's going to be the big one this year, and then they make a vaccine for it. We haven't been able to get rid of any of these SARS viruses. We haven't been able to get rid of the flu or the cold. And so now they've made this one thing it's got genetic enhancers and weird shit in it. And I'm like, hey, look, this is really cool technology. And if I had cancer, I'd fucking let you put a dog in my ass if I thought it would help. But this is experimental shit, and I don't know if I want this. And then I have my circle of people. I know a decent amount of people because I have a company and I interact with lots of folks. And I know people who've died mysteriously within a couple weeks of the vaccine.
Me too.
And I'm like,
or
okay,
they
wait a
died
minute.
from breakthrough COVID after being vaccinated. And that was another thing. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need this. I only have one life, like one body, and the last thing I do is even be more jacked up as it is.
And every season's going to be another version of this. Like there's already fucking 10 versions floating around, and they're the vaccine is less and less effective against them. When I talk to people who are blind about their fear and their safety, they're not weighing out normal medicine. Anytime, I don't know if you've gone to the doctor or had any medical problems in your life, but anytime you go to a doctor, they say, well, we could do this or we could do this. Here's what kind of the odds are, or you could do this. Every parent out there has been afraid of like Down syndrome or something like that, and said to their doctor, they're 24 years old having their first kid, hey, should we get one of those amniocentesis things to see if the doctor's got, and the doctor will say, okay, now the incident for Down syndrome at your age is this much, and the risk of doing damage to the feces
You know what that's called?
to the fetus is this much, and it's balancing just your risk reward, and you kind of go, okay, we don't want to hurt the fetus.
You know what that's called, right?
What?
Long-term data.
Yeah, you're right. It's data. It's data.
data.
But everybody, if you ask all of these crazy vaccine and mask people, say, hey, did you ever make a decision about amniocentesis? And your doctor told you that you could do damage to the fetus, so you held off doing it because you were 24, and you don't need to do it till you're like 34 or 35.
A little bit
That's
later.
when the math starts kind of making it worth doing, if it matters to you. You remember that decision you made with your doctor? That's the decision I made. So my doctor said, well, you had COVID, Greg, and we think maybe you've had it twice, but you definitely have antibodies. I don't know if I'd take this yet since you're already through this. And, we made this informed decision. Well, I'm an anti-vaxxing fucking moron compared to everybody, and they want to kill me. I mean, they're nuts.
It's ridiculous that everybody wants to control everybody else's body.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that nobody owns. Nobody technically owns you.
Right.
That's the beauty of being in this country. So, like, I have had a health problem. So, the scar across my neck, that's actually from thyroid cancer. So, I don't have a thyroid. So what's funny is that like I joke about it that I'm a fat vegan, and I call fat vegans pandas because pandas are fat vegans. But I don't have a thyroid. So, but thing is like going through that decision process of when it even came down to
So
it.
are bulls, by the way.
Well,
Bulls are vegans.
bulls sound like something way, way worse than panda. Like, I'm just like, you know,
I just throw that out. Oh, okay, panda's non-threatening. It's friendly.
Panda's kind of, you know, friendly, cute, fuzzy, not
Kung fu
everybody.
kind of
Yeah,
implication,
Kung fu
yeah.
panda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got it.
So, back to the whole Kung Fu thing. But that was a decision that I made with my doctor was actually like, how are we going to combat this cancer? You know what? Because they had long-term data, and we actually sat down and had a solid conversation. The whole thing with the vaccine, I'm not even high risk. And then this is taking out the fact that it doesn't even work. But I'm not high risk. I work in a jail, so I'm pretty sure my blood can cure cancer at this point because all the things that
You've been
you find in
exposed to
jail.
everything.
I've already been
Yeah.
exposed to everything. Hell, I've been
So-
exposed to TB
So
already.
let me just add a parenthesis because a bunch of people's heads just exploded. So I think the vaccine provides protection against a narrow thing for a short period of time. I think they've kind of borne that out. But what I don't have to take that on faith. There is data about that. But what what I'm advocating is how many people under the age of 50 that don't have more than 4 comorbidities have died, and less than 2 comorbidities have died. Like I'm overweight, but I don't have anything else going on with me.
Right, but the thing is, like, you already had COVID.
Right. But it's the thing. It's weighing this stuff out, and they're not being honest. You know, the VERS data has come back. There's a lot of problems with the vaccine. Okay, the fact that we all know about blood clots, the fact that we all know about the
Enlarged hearts,
pericarditis and all this, the fact that we know about that means it's out there. You know, I'm not watching conspiracy networks. I'm other than mainstream media, right? There's a conspiracy. If you know, they accuse you of conspiracy, there's a conspiracy going on in this country. It's called mainstream media. It's a
Mainstream media is
conspiracy.
pushing
A
all
bunch of people who get together and agree to tell something that's not true.
Yes,
That's a conspiracy.
it is. So was kind of funny. I actually got into a huge argument with my supervision at work because they were like, you have to wear a mask all the time. No, I'm gonna take breaks. I'm gonna wear it intermittently because of work.
Does anyone ever fling poo on you guys?
When I worked psych, a lot of people tried.
They try.
Yeah, but you start looking like you're in the Matrix, and it's fine. Like it's okay. You have to have super quick, you know, reflexes in order to be there, and you also have to be quick with it. So like, like just
I always ask
like,
because people are like,
I could tell jail stories all day. Like it's
oh,
because I worked in so many units. But I got into it with my supervision because they were like, you need to wear a mask. We already had officers die. I'm like, okay, one thing y'all forgetting is that the officers that died, you know, I hate to, you know, put this out there, they're all unhealthy. They all had uncontrolled diabetes. They all had like uncontrolled like other health issues. So if anything, it just put us on the map as just being unhealthy as people.
we have a high fructose corn syrup crisis in this country.
And everything, and that's
yeah.
and I work graveyard, so a lot of these officers are on energy drinks and like a whole bunch of stuff that's really bad for them. Like if anything, these are the people who are the ones who are actually passing from not just in a small, you know, agency, but like nationwide. Look at the people who are actually passing from this stuff. But no, I have to wear a mask because it's for my safety. I'm like, if you want to do something for my safety, you'll tell all these fat ass officers to get in shape and stop being liability.
So
Like,
we can
you
all
don't do
protect each other.
Yes,
Right.
like you're supposed to.
Right.
Not but we can't because, you know, we'll be hurting people's feelings.
Well, the best is I'm telling you, I've told this story a bunch of times. I'm outside of QT, and there's this fucking dude who's like 345. He's got a chili dog in his hand, half eaten. There's chili down his shirt. He's got his mask pulled down. His mask's all dirty, and he's got rubber gloves on his hands, and he's smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, that fucking dude is so safe, and I'm sure he's back
so
too.
safe.
He's
Instead
fucking. He's 120 pounds overweight.
Breathing hard.
He's slamming a chili dog, and he's got his dirty mask pulled down.
And about to go home to a CPAP and like
Yep.
just
Oh yeah. He's got it looks like a homeless diaper on his face, and he's got it pulled down around his chin, and he's smoking, and he's got gloves on, and I was like, rubber gloves, and I was like, and I used to see it in the morning. The workers at QT when I'd stop and get something to drink, they come in and they got their masks on, and a lot of them had medical gloves on, and I was like, wow, that's extra. So they're getting their stuff, like they come out of the bathroom, they got their gloves on, and then they go to the thing, they get their drinks, and they got their gloves on, and then they go get their hot dog with their gloves on. And I'm like, You know the bathroom's stuck all over the outside of your gloves, right? Did you take those off and put those on in the bathroom? Like, there's nonsense going on.
it's
fucking nonsense.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And I see it, but every time I see them, I'm like, this is America. This is America right now. And hold on, so, but just before all these comments are blowing up, I am not fat shaming anybody, just throwing that out there. So, I don't know, I'm like.
You know, I take my glasses off so I can't see them because I get too worked up.
Because like I'm not fat shaming because but you know, some people have medical issues where they cannot.
It's not wrong to say someone if they're 7 feet tall that they're 7 feet tall.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong for
it's not wrong if somebody is 82 years old to say that they're old. They're fucking old.
Oh, so
and if you're fat, it's okay to say that they're fat and that's at risk.
Yeah.
And they're gonna die young, and they got 10 other risks coming really fast too. Because being fat's horrible for us.
Right. Yeah. Especially with our shitty ass diet. So, with all that being said, I think it was Cali a couple years ago that wanted their cops to stop saying, if the suspect was white, black, Mexican. And I'm like, those are descriptives. Like it got to the point where I just started like, there was a character, like a cartoon character, and that this subject probably like, kind of looks like them, resembles them a bit. I'm like, hey, there's this guy that look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo over here. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So they know who I'm talking about. But no, I'd say white, black.
What if it was a black guy? What would you say?
Black dude. Oh, depends on his, if he looked like, if he was super lanky or if he looked big.
Okay, if he's super lanky.
If he's super lanky, I would probably be like, depends. It depends.
Oh, like a basketball player. You just like a basketball player's
hey,
name.
he just looked like a
We got a
bootleg
guy
James
kinda-
Brown.
kinda-
LeBron James or something.
This guy kind of looks like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And,
So what's funny is I had another buddy, and this was at like a DUI task force that was in working, and this guy that was doing a ride along with another officer I knew, he's like, hey, I want you to meet my friend. And I was like, okay. Usually when people say that, it'd be like the one black friend they know. So I'm like, okay, all right. So, is he cool? He's like, oh, he looks like Charles Barkley. I'm like, is that because you haven't seen a lot of black people, or does he really look like Charles Barkley?
he's 7 feet tall,
yeah, does he play
slightly leaning
basketball?
forward with a big ass. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Well,
With that Phil Jackson ass, like.
there's a bunch of people out there like this going, what did he just say?
If you don't know, you need to go watch
So,
old freaking Chicago Bulls freaking videos, and Phil Jackson had like this shelf of ass.
Yeah.
But
So if I sang I Got Friends in Low Places with Charles Barkley in a bar one time doing karaoke.
that's awesome.
I remember looking over and he put his hand right on my head like he was saying that right when he's saying I got friends in low places. And I was like,
That's
God
so
damn
cool.
it. Yeah.
That's cool. But,
go ahead.
But what's funny, I actually met the dude. He legit looked like Charles Barkley. I'm like,
Oh shit.
I'm
That's
like,
pretty funny.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm like, I thought your friend just did not know a lot of black people, but all right, that's cool. All right, that's cool. That's all right. But like the health of the nation is freaking horrible. And until not just the health as in physically, but mentally, like a lot of these, people walking around are super soft and they don't want to speak up. Like I even talked about it like with my buddies, like when Corona first started. I'm probably gonna be Rosa Parks of this whole operation because for one, I'm not gonna get vaccinated. No, I'm not gonna put something in me that for one I don't need. It's completely unnecessary for me.
Right.
Not everybody and their mom, but for me. We
Hey,
know
look,
it
if you're
doesn't work.
83 years old and you have some comorbidities, it might be worth
I don't
doing.
know.
It might.
But that's for them to decide. That's the beauty about
Right.
America.
Right.
They can decide.
Right.
The tweakers decide if they want to tweak. That's on them. Like unless I have to.
Now, how do you feel about how do you feel about measles?
like
Should
I'm
people
like,
should kids be getting the measles?
when's the last time we had a measles outbreak?
We're having one right now
Oh, okay.
because of everybody coming in from Afghanistan with measles.
Oh yeah,
and
that and also the wide open borders,
That's-
like wide open.
Yeah, so I'm not against vaccination, especially if there's the math and the science behind
Mm-hmm.
it, and they've done clinical trials and human studies, and there's a body of evidence behind it that I go,
Right.
okay, well, like I got my kids immunized. I was like, God, I don't want them getting this, and I don't want them getting
Mm-hmm.
that, and I don't get this, and they were the old fashioned where they kind of have a dead version of the virus that
Right.
they expose your body to, and then you build antibodies are close enough shape to fight off
Right,
the
they
real
will
thing.
fight that.
But this other stuff, I'm like, this is really cool science. Can you maybe help somebody regrow a hand who lost their hand?
Yeah.
Let's.
Or
I don't know
cure
about this.
cancer. Like that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, granted, I like this scar I have across my neck. It's actually a conversation.
I didn't even
starter.
notice.
Oh yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
You could put two little eyeballs right above it.
Actually, I thought for Halloween I was gonna put like some like little
Little jack-o'-lantern.
butterfly.
Oh yeah.
I could do total jack-o'-lantern or even like a Frankenstein type of thing. Thought about it, absolutely, and like paint everything underneath it white, so it looks like a black head on a white body.
All right,
So
let's
that's what
jump
people-
off this because this is freaking people out. So talk to me for a second. What are you shooting right now? What kind of equipment are you shooting?
All right, so one of my main sponsors, I shoot for Troy. I also shoot for Staccato. So for three
What's
gun-
Troy Arms?
Troy rifles.
Troy,
Yep.
and where are they out of?
They just moved from New Hampshire down to Tennessee, which is freaking awesome. So I still got to go visit them. Great rifle, super solid. So I've been shooting for them for like 6 years now.
My old company Gunny was one of their high ups over there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So Troy Arms. So that they weren't they out of like Springfield, Massachusetts for a while? Then
Yep.
and then they moved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they just moved. I'm talking about like earlier this year.
So your rifles with them.
Yep, all my rifles are with them. So I shoot Staccato pistols. So if you know STI,
Yep.
STI changed their name to Staccato back in March. So like super awesome guns, and like holy crap, they were just amazing people. Other sponsors I have, man, I have to look at my jersey. So I have Elfman Tactical, which is a local, run their triggers and pretty much all my long guns. So my ARs, my PCC, things like that, I run their triggers.
What's the owner over at Elfman's? Do you remember?
Artie? Artie, I think it was.
Is that his name?
Artie?
He
Artie,
drives
Artie
a big Jeep.
Yeah, that's Artie Jr. Yeah.
So I ran into him. It was funny. I was doing something. Oh, I was at a coatings place, and I had at the time I had a big Gladiator Jeep, and we pulled up, and we were like two guys with two white Jeeps that are all jacked up. We were like,
looking at each other like
yo,
like the Spider-Man meme, like are you broke too? Me too. Grab this Jeep.
It's funny. So he's across from our, pretty close to our old factory before we moved here. All right, and who else you got on there? What's on that sleeve over there?
No, that's all. Troy.
Who's your knife sponsor?
I don't have a knife sponsor.
What do these guys do to sponsor you? Do they give you guns?
So every single company is different, as in like We Plead the Second, actually they changed the name to Pro 2 Customs. Like they do all my Kydex work and also some of my custom Cerakote, gun candy, all that cool stuff. Skill Set Magazine, I've been writing for them for a bit. Mo Money Pawn Shop, which is local to Phoenix. They were actually my ammo sponsor for the longest time, but COVID happened, and I'm like, I'd rather you put that money back into these employees so they have a job.
Yeah.
Because I got a full-time job with benefits, so I don't.
Well, listen, you might be.
But,
this is a crazy phrase. Go ahead, finish, and I'll tell you.
No, because they're super awesome. Every single company, and one thing about Artie is like he has such ADD, and he's like I want to try this, and then he'll go try.
Oh, that's the guy.
Yeah. Artie with Elfman, he was like,
yeah.
I want to try this. I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And he does it. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'd like people like that.
Does he
Rain Man.
make Jeep parts also?
Yeah, actually, they just started their off-road side.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So he's kind of like Rain Man, like a little tactical Rain Man. I like that about him. So I don't have a knife sponsor.
You might be a little, this is the strangest phrase I've probably ever concocted, but you might be a little too conservative for me. It's funny. I'm pretty centrist, and I guess I've grown. I was pretty left of center when I was young and in college.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
I was too.
And then I was kind of fiscally conservative and socially left of center. And I've gotten a little more socially centrist. I'm not left on a whole lot of stuff anymore.
So to kind of describe my, just to wrap me up here, I'm pretty much like gays should marry, but don't fuck with my guns. That's pretty much where I'm at.
What was the first one?
Gays should marry.
Yep.
Yeah, gays can marry, do whatever.
Because the government should fuck off and not be in charge of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, and what sparked that one was that knowing a whole bunch of gay officers, and if they died in line of duty.
Because you're not gay.
Because I'm not gay, but gay bars have great.
But it'd be okay if it was.
Gay bars have great drink specials during like a hiring freeze.
Oh, they all
not
have the
getting
best
raises.
dance music.
Yes, and they're open to like 4 most of the gay bars. So you're like, hey, if you got time to kill, go dance, till 4 in the morning. So I've been in a lot of gay bars because drink specials matter. So, but one thing I learned was that a lot of these the gays, their spouses, they were not eligible for spousal benefits if they died in the line of duty.
Right.
So I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, you've been with this person forever, and then they die at work, and you can't get anything out of it. That's bullshit. So
I say force them to get married. I say force them to get married. It's the best conversion therapy you can possibly do. Fucking let the fuckers get married.
Well,
Fucking
you know what?
Have at it. We're all
We're
all legally entangled too.
Because I know like some conservative gays, and they're like, hey, we believe the same thing you believe. We're cool. All right. What else? But they're also like work hard so you can play hard. So most conservatives are like that too.
There's a emerging class of what I call them. I call them intersectional superstars, and these are black, conservative, female, gay, lesbian, bi, queer, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. groups that basically check off some boxes that make them untouchable.
Oh,
You know, like,
yeah.
oh yeah, you can't say that against me.
Uh-huh.
You know, like I was thinking about what's the Jenner name? What's Jenner's name now? Caitlyn.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd love for for them to be governor.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fantastic because I think they're
They're-
probably conservative,
Uh-huh.
and nobody can
It's-
say shit to her.
You know, somebody with the left will actually like probably do the same thing to her.
They would
that they
crucify
did.
her.
Yeah, the same thing they did to
Crucify her.
her, the same thing they did to Larry Elder while he was
Yeah.
running. I'm like, you telling me like this guy pretty much got attacked on the street and nobody's going to investigate it, but they sent how many feds
And
to?
she had a fucking gorilla mask on.
Yeah.
I was like,
Who's the one black dude that lied? The black actor, Smollett, Jussie Smollett. So they sent some feds over to Smollett about some bullshit piece in the garage, but nobody can investigate.
I'm telling you,
Larry
the
Elder?
hypocrisy in this country. Do you know what? And Malcolm X basically wants black people. You know, you dropped the House N-bomb a few minutes ago. That's what he wants out of black. Malcolm X was warning black America. The worst thing for you is a liberal white person.
Yep.
Because they want you in a tuxedo serving stuff from the kitchen.
Yep.
And they are the biggest fucking bunch of hypocrites walking the planet. I was talking about when we first sat down and we're getting acquainted, I was talking about these I'm just the ring in the toilet bowl of old-fashioned racism that was floating around in my consciousness in the 70s. And then I ended up in school in Massachusetts where I've never seen more racism flagrantly out loud. And I watched during the Trump presidency, and you're probably a Trump person, I'm guessing. Okay. I watched during the Trump presidency a lot of my things that I let just be quiet in the background. I just kind of shut them down. I had very hard racist perspectives about certain things, and I watched them melt because I started hearing these stories from black faces just from Africa that are fucking really black, not your light color of black. I mean fucking really black. And it melted me because they sounded like my Greek grandfather who came off the boat in the 1920s, or, you know, not during the 20s, during 1916, during the middle of World War I.
Yeah.
They sounded like and so I'm identifying with Guatemalans and Nigerians and these people that the Trump campaign was saying, look what's happening to these businesses across America. Look at these success stories. Look what these shutdowns are doing. And I felt a whole bunch of things just melt away in me. And then I would see these crazy Karens and I would go, okay, I'm fucking nothing like her and I want to crush her right now. And can you get Jamutu back on? Because that dude sounds just like me.
So, so real quick, so the hyphenated American, one thing that I don't agree with is that people are like, oh, these African Americans. I wasn't born in Africa. I'm a black
So
American.
you say black.
I'm black.
Okay, well,
So,
I used to say black too. I'm just, I'm like,
but the thing is, like, I know some legit African Americans. Like, they came from Africa. Like, one of my good friends, great shooter, by the way. He's from South Africa, and he's legit
is he a white guy?
white guy. He is legit African American.
That's a fucking funny
So,
thing.
I was like-
Who are we talking about?
Leighton.
Yeah.
Uten.
Yep.
Totally
He
butchered
does
his last
he
name.
does the dogs stuff up
Yep,
north, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's legit African American. I'm just black. There's a difference.
Do you remember? Did you? I don't know if you were shooting much when Ro Barr was still around, but you remember?
Yes.
Do you know Robbie
Italian.
Barkman?
Yep.
Okay, so Robbie's South African. He's like, Greek. I'm a real African American. He's like, I'm the only African American you know. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Yeah, that's kind of,
It's true. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
All right, so you just say black.
black. I'm
Okay, cool.
fine with black.
And are most people or the wokey wokes don't like that?
The wokey wokes, they're like, oh, you know, I'm African American. Like, you weren't from Africa, bro. You were born in like county hospital, like up the street. Like you're black. Like, stop. You're just black.
You know, I tread lightly because I'm not always sitting in mixed company, and I'm like, I don't want.
So that's that kind of thing. Some of the thoughts that you're saying that they may have been racist. I don't know. I don't know if you actually had the opportunity to bounce it off of somebody of a totally different color. Like, I mean, I can tell you, no, that's not racist. Oh yeah, that is racist.
So-
but like some things, like for example, some people see this as racist. I judge ethnic restaurants by the customers. So if I go to an Asian restaurant and there's a whole bunch of white people there eating, no, this place is trash. I ain't going. Nope, I am not getting my money because this food is suck.
That's your barometer.
Yeah, right there.
I used
Now,
to have a
if I go-
sushi place that I went to on Thursday nights when they got the fresh fish. It was all Japanese people. I'm like, okay, this
All
is a
right,
good
this place is legit. So
Yeah.
you know it's gonna be close
Yeah,
to authenticity of the actual ethnic can't talk right now, ethnicity of that food, of that cuisine. So like I've been to Mexican restaurants. If there's not a whole bunch of Mexicans eating there, I'm like, nah, this is like Chipotle. I'm gonna leave, So like, or Taco Bell, all these horrible places. But some people see that as racist. I'm like, how? If I'm going for a very authentic food or authentic cuisine, when I go where the ethnicity of what they're claiming to be, if they're actually frequenting there, then therefore that's the food that I want to eat.
I think everybody does that. I think there's lots of other things. I don't know. Honestly, I'm
because
reasonably affluent, upper class white guy, and I just don't run into a lot of people of any other color, except I'm running into them more and more. I'm running into more and more Black Americans now. And it's funny, there are like 4 Black guys in the knife collecting world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it may be more than 4, but it ain't going to be much more than 4.
But what you know of.
But I know those guys.
Right.
And it's funny, we've had some heavy duty racial conversations. I was sitting at a table with a bunch of white guys, and we have our big get together, and the Centurions are almost all white, and I got 2 Black guys. And they're sitting at the table, and these guys are fucking awesome dudes. They're both veterans. I consider them friends who stayed at my house. I just love these guys. And we talk back and forth, and there's a lot of openness about this kind of stuff. They're, poking at me a little bit, and I'm poking at them a little bit, just kind of feeling each other out a little. They've been around a hell of a lot of white people, and I haven't been around as many Black people since I was in the Marine Corps. And we're sitting at this table, and there's about, there's just 25 of us at the table, okay? And the statues were being torn down in the South at the time. And I think at the time, it was maybe General Lee or one of the really famous Southern guys that had his statue torn down. And the dudes around the table were like pissed about it. And everybody was really vocal. And I look down and I see my 2 friends, and they're sitting there kind of quiet. And I was like, so I kind of stuck my neck out. I said, guys, there's another perspective. And they all kind of looked at me. And this is not patting myself on the back for being like fucking wokety woke. But I said, imagine you're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and you're a 26-year-old Black guy who just got out of the Air Force, and you've been doing plumbing, and you want to get your plumbing license, and you got to go down to the town hall to get your license and get your background check and get your business license and your tax license. And as you walk up, there's a red flag from the Confederacy on the state building. And as you go in, there's a statue of General Lee, and this is the government you're going to ask permission for your license. I go, and you pay your taxes just like everybody else. Do you think maybe it could rub you wrong and make you feel like you're a little dispossessed? And everyone was kind of like, I definitely was a cloud on the evening, And I said, look, I'm not making the argument one way or the other. I think if I were Black and my children, and I was raising children, I would be saying, don't worry about old statues. You should know who the bigots are. It's okay. Let's spot who they are. Stay away from them. Don't let them knock you down, and we'll negotiate whatever crazy waters are required.
Which one thing that I tell people, because I actually on my Instagram page, I get a lot of trolls. I get a lot of people who are like, yeah, but this country is racist. Okay. Or it had a racist history. Okay. All that stuff had to happen in order for me to be where I'm at. Period. So for me being a Black female competitive shooter that represents the United States, everything in the past had to happen. Right. And people keep forgetting that. Like, stop trying to erase that, because you're going to end up changing tomorrow.
And we're not always the things we did. We are who we are.
Yep. There's also the things that we haven't done.
Right.
So, but everything had to happen. And people are just like, it just cracks me up that people want to erase those parts of history.
I was talking to my kids about it. My daughter's doing this AP government class, and they're talking about the Constitution. And of course, this stuff's all coming up. And I go, well, listen, she's like, well, what do I say in class when they're saying this and that and these horrible things about the country? I go, well, look, in 1775, almost the entire world was enslaved. They just didn't necessarily call it slavery. But you couldn't move, and you owed somebody and had to do whatever they said, and they could kill your wife. Or whatever they wanted. That was everywhere at all times. And I go, and all of a sudden a document shows up that says all men are created equal. And they tried to get it right, and they wanted to include everybody, and they couldn't get everybody to sign on, because at some point they got to get a coalition to make a country. And within really within 70 years, we killed 250,000 of each other arguing and winning the point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing people don't think about.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, America's awful." I said, "We did something the rest of the world." You know why? You know why slavery was outlawed in England? Because one guy said so. That's a fucking easy reality.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get everybody to agree on it?
Yeah.
And we fucking killed 250,000 of each other to come to, okay, that's bad. Good thing it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? Now we gotta, and then we do stuff the rest of the world has never even thought of doing. England, the king basically at some point said there's no slavery. Well, he didn't go to France and fix it there.
Nope.
He didn't go to Germany and fix it there. He didn't go to North Africa and fix it there. The first inkling of the freeing of slaves happened during the Jefferson administration when he sent the Barbary Coast pirates. The Muslims had been keeping white slaves there in North Africa for centuries. And we couldn't get a meeting with any of the representatives of Europe because we were no longer under the British flag. And we released thousands of white slaves back into Europe who had been captured by the pirates in North Africa. And so I see from the very earliest inklings of America, I see this wanting to make things right, wanting to free things up. And that's Jefferson, a slave owner. These are people, when I've told my kids, I go, in 50 years or 100 years, they might look back at you and think you're a petro criminal because you used gas in your car.
Yep.
You're a criminal because you ruined the world. I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
But if you look at people in these moments of time, it's not fair to judge people out of their time. If we looked at the pharaohs, everybody's intrigued by Egypt. That whole thing was run on slavery.
Yep.
It was a different humanity there was no ideas of civil liberty and equality. They had women kings. They had male pharaohs. It's phony for us to stand where we are and judge from our time people throughout history. We have to look at them. We have to learn from them. But to take the country that's done what this country has done, you look at the plurality of people that are here pretty much getting along. They don't ever talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, we're all getting along here pretty well.
With all our differences.
Yeah. And there's no other country dealing with that. That's a challenging thing.
Yeah.
Nigerians are as different from me as can be imagined. They're culturally.
Yeah.
And they come here and exceed and do really well in America. They're the most successful immigrant group of Africans. And why is that? Well, there's study going on about that. I love it. This is this cool melting pot, and the fight that's gone on.
They have opportunities here.
Yeah.
And people forget that. Same thing with during the whole SB 1070, which was this big immigration thing that happened here in Phoenix years ago.
Yep.
And there were so many young Mexican kids. They're like, "Oh, Viva la Mexico." I'm like, "Then go back. If Mexico is that great, by all means, I would drive you to 4 hours back to the Mexican border, and you can go be great over there." I'm just saying. And they're like, "Well, no, I can do all this over here." Then shut the fuck up then. You have so many opportunities here. Take advantage of it. Don't blame other people for your failures.
So when you're sitting around, do you get together with your family over the holidays?
Oh, dude, since BLM came out, I'm the black sheep of my family.
You are the black sheep.
My family don't talk to me because I work for the band, and but these.
So you should do BSM. Do a BSM shirt and send it to them. Black Sheep Matter.
Totally
fucking awesome,
dude. Because they were like, I work for the man, but I'm the most successful one in my family out of my both my parents and my older siblings. I'm the most successful one. I'm just a law enforcement official that actually has some type of smarts about financial stuff. I bought my first house at 24.
So you got your life together.
Yeah. So I'm like, but that's a bad thing. But okay, what else? And that was during the whole Obama administration, where pretty much cops started to be ostracized just for their job.
Crazy.
And then it basically just ramped up even worse, especially if you were a black cop or a black Leo at the time.
Okay,
Ridiculous.
You voted for Obama the first time, right?
No.
Oh, come on.
This is why I didn't that particular one. It was Obama and John Kerry, I want to say.
No, I mean,
who was it?
They were in the primaries. It was Obama and
McCain.
McCain.
McCain, old ass. I actually voted for him because I was like, I think he's gonna be a little bit better. Even though looking back on him, that was probably a wasted vote. But he I didn't vote for Obama because like he was in Chicago forever, and Chicago was still shitty then. I was like,
Yeah.
so he's gonna make the country a big ass Chicago? That doesn't make any
The
sense.
problem with Obama, he wasn't anywhere forever, and he had no skill set and
None. He could talk.
and
That was it.
And
he
the
was a charmer.
and the Democrats, you could hear their racism
Oh my
when they
God, yes.
talked about how great of speaker he was.
Mm-hmm.
If you close your eyes and you didn't know it was him, he spoke exactly like George Bush. They squeezed out 3 and 4 word phrases for my fellow Americans. It was this very like, I don't want to get in trouble, whatever I'm going to say. I got to squeeze it out really slowly. I voted for him the first time. And the reason I voted for him was I hated McCain, and I had words with him before. And I voted for him because I'm like, you know what? Let's fucking get this. Let's do it.
So-
I was like, ding the bell.
One thing, because I didn't vote for him either time.
All right, well,
So
I'm
my
proud
big
of you,
thing-
and I'm a little embarrassed about mine.
But my whole thing, first of all, I was like, nobody should get a job based off the color of their skin.
You're totally right.
And then we also I had a whole bunch of blacks that are like, hey, are you voting for Obama? I'm like, why would I vote for him? Because you're black. I'm like, I don't believe in doing anything because of the color of my skin. So why am I waste my vote, on somebody I don't even think that's good enough for the job, or shouldn't even get the job because they're black? It doesn't make any sense. Not one bit. So
man.
I was just completely like on it. I was like, I don't think he's good for the country.
Well, you get a badass award for that, okay?
Because I'm like, this, it doesn't make any sense. And then I had some other blacks that are like, well, he gave other blacks hope. Hope doesn't put food on the table, bro. You need to lower these fucking taxes. So I was just,
Yeah.
I went off. So for about the past, like, I don't know how many years, I've just been on this whole, like actually looking at what the government's supposed to do and what am I supposed to do as a citizen. So right now, with so many people fearing their government, that's how tyranny happens. And that's why we're in this position we are, because you're not allowed to question anything. And you can see how the whole questioning thing has actually been enrooted into the black community forever. So even when I'm 37 right now. So like when I was 18, hey, you're supposed to vote Democrat because you're black.
Right.
Well, why?
Right. Because we own you.
Yeah.
Because we own you.
Yeah. So kept going. Why? I didn't know me.
They don't want to
asking
say
why-
we own you.
Yeah. No, they were like, oh, because Democrats does this. I'm like, there are fucking sinkholes and potholes. Like,
Everywhere.
this city looks like shit.
Every place run by
Like-
Democrats is a shithole.
Yeah, I'm like, the libraries are trash. I can't even get new books. I got more books or even being able to read books off of like Yahoo back in the day. So I'm like, because the libraries are trash. Like all the like public services were just horrible. So like, why would I vote Democrat? So, but a lot of these people are voting with their feelings and voting with their color instead of voting with actual education,
Yeah.
which totally pissed me off.
Yeah. No, I saw what happened. Tim Scott did something with Trump. They did these opportunity zones, and I saw that kind of burst around the country. And I was like, you talk about a meaningful piece of legislation that's done stuff to
Yep.
uplift people more than just about anything, and nobody cares. And
Yep.
and they're not working on anything like that right now. What we have right now is just crazy. It's a manufactured crisis. Oh, I call it a calamity. You got to run pretty quick, I bet. So we got Democrats proposing to spend the biggest bill that's ever
Yep.
fucking been contemplated, $3.5 trillion, while they're raising the debt ceiling,
Yep.
while they're limiting people coming and going out of the country, while they're flooding the borders with people from all over the world who've gone to Mexico because they know they can just walk in here.
Yep.
And it's a calamity of creation. They've created the whole thing, and they're not doing actually anything for anybody.
Nope.
And if you look at this $3.5 trillion bill, it's basically 40 years of pork they haven't been able to get all crammed into one barrel.
Yep.
It's
it is.
unbelievable.
So, if you actually read the first COVID relief bill, like, holy shit. Like, that's how I knew. I was like, everybody, if you're not evading taxes right now, you're not a true American. Like, because like, this is ridiculous. You got
Right.
all this money going to
Right.
all these other pet projects and not like actual Americans. So I'm like, if I told all my friends, I'm like, y'all should be filing exempt on your taxes, right? Or like on your regular paycheck.
I was reading they haven't spent the relief money from the first bill on businesses yet.
No.
And they've passed 2 bills since. So
Are you surprised though?
No, listen, that's why I'm like, when people say, I go, look, the government's awful at everything. I don't care what your good intentions are. I don't care how much you think you love America. I don't think this downtrodden person, these people can't get their driver's license to vote. You're a racist. Racism of low expectations. You're a racist of low expectations. And black people don't know how to drive someplace. They don't know how to get someplace. I mean, what country do you live in?
So one thing I like doing and piss off all my liberal buddies on Facebook is that I'll take every racist ass thing that Biden says and turn it into a motivational poster.
Can you give me an example?
Like, one of my favorite ones is that poor kids can be just as smart as white kids.
Oh my, okay.
So I put that in like the nice little cute little script with a nice little background. Oh yeah, Joe Biden said this, and this year, the whole internet thing, like, so there was a meme floating around that was like, I was marked safe by using the internet, or marked safe from using the internet today.
Listen,
you ain't black.
Oh, that was another one. Oh, if you don't vote for me, or you haven't figured out if you want to vote for me, then you ain't black.
Yeah.
I'll put that one up as a motivational poster.
Every time I'm always like, oh my God. Like, I was thinking this was actually going to be kind of fun for a few years because I was so happy the last 4 years. I had nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
And then this happened. I was like, okay, well, at least we get to hear him talk all the time, but they've got him on lockdown.
Oh yeah, they totally start. As soon as he started opening his mouth, they're like, nope, can't ask, no questions, none of that. So what's even funnier is that I'll go into a lot of, because I'm vegan, there's a lot of, I hate to say this, but there's a lot of vegan restaurants that are liberal. So I'll go into these liberal restaurants.
Yeah, there's not a lot of conservative vegan places.
There's not. I need to open like the first one.
You
like,
should open on Contrarian Day. You have a Trump thing in the window.
Oh, yeah.
Do vegan near
like
meat.
anything.
Near
Like anything.
meat. Anything.
Yeah.
Oh, liberals' heads would explode.
Oh, dude, they would. And then find out it was ran by a black chick. They're like, oh my God. Like, they'll lose their shit.
I can't even be mad. How could you?
So like I went into one and they're like, hey, you're supposed to have a mask in here. I'm like, no, health problems. And they're like, well, it's on our website. I'm like, I can't use the internet because Biden says so. And they're like, yeah. Like, it was just the funniest shit.
Like if they got the QR code to get the menu.
You're
like,
hey,
I don't know how to use my phone.
I don't know. I don't
know what to do here.
Like, I want to drink, but I don't have ID either. And they're like,
yeah.
they're just like, oh my
I don't know
God.
where my license is. A what? Where do you get those?
Like, I'm surprised I have not been like trespassed or like the cops called on me because I do this shit just to prove a point of how dumb you are from voting with your emotions versus actual facts and actual policy. So,
well, listen, absolute pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much for coming in, and I hope you come by. So, do you need a knife sponsor?
I mean, I'll take one.
I think we should do a knife sponsorship with you.
I'm cool with that. I'm a dork. I'm gonna get videos of me cutting like just random shit. Just because.
So wait a minute now. So this is just a Troy shirt?
No. So on the back.
Yeah. Oh, I see. How do I get on there? I want to get on your back. Sorry, that's a little inappropriate. Fun police. Woo, woo, woo. Fun police just showed up.
We can totally talk about that.
All right. So if so, what we'd like to do is we're making, you know what I'd like to do is talk to you about our new ASK knife that's coming out, which is kind of a multi-tool.
Yes. Actually, Bobby, friends of Bobby, buddies of Bobby. He actually showed me one of the prototypes, and it's the one that has like the AR tool, and also like the body opener, and also like the little rangefinder on it too. So I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Well, you know what I thought we could do is maybe I know you're in a hurry, you got some stuff to do today, but maybe come by another time and we could sit down and talk about like little gadgets or tools you use when you're either breaking down your firearms to clean them or stuff you may need when you're doing target stuff or whatever. You're going to say, oh, I got these little things that I use for this, that, and the other. Maybe there's some stuff we could do to kind of put one together your way. And then we'll make a little version of it that you had a little 2 cents saying on, we'll call it our shooters or our whatever. And then, of course we want to get our logo slapped on your back. Okay. So let us know what we can do.
Yes,
we'd like to do something fun. So maybe some product. And how often do you fly around to shoot?
COVID kind of fucked up a lot of that, but actually relatively frequent, probably a few times a year.
All right. Well, maybe what we could do is something cool. Maybe take care of some travel or something at some point.
Well, thank you. All right.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of fun. You didn't hit me up at all, but I just love.
And I'm all about doing home stuff. I love being in Phoenix and all the stuff that's here too.
Cool.
People are there.
Well, you got a great personality, and I think people are. You probably already know this. People probably take to you really nicely in this community. Have you found a lot of pushback in the gun world from you being a black woman?
No.
No.
I haven't, because nobody
we don't
cares.
fucking care.
Nobody cares.
Like, oh, you like guns?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
That's exactly
You,
how it is.
you want to go blow something up? I got some tannerite in my car.
I actually had a guy just reach out to me. I met his wife because she works at Galco. And
Swingers.
They could. Hey, you know what? Hey, if they get paid a whole bunch, I'm trying to retire early. I'm
Okay,
gonna leave that
okay.
open out there. So
Yeah, my first job was at Galco years ago. I know everybody over there.
yeah, so they're super sweet, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we got some tannerite. You're in the guns. That's cool. You bought, the fast pack track thingy. Oh my God, come out, shoot, have fun." I'm like, "Oh, sweet."
Yeah.
I don't even know this guy's last name, but he's married to somebody who works there, and they're like, "You're cool. Let's hang out."
I
And that's
find
how the
gun
industry is.
people are about the nicest people.
They're drug dealers. Gun people are the biggest drug dealers because they're like, "Hey, shoot
like,
this
okay,
gun.
yeah, check it out.
Here's this ammo."
I'll
I
take
didn't
you.
even know Bobby's last name. They're
Yeah.
already having shooting staccatos. I was like,
and
"Here you
they're
go, bro."
I'll take you to the gun store with me.
Right.
I'll introduce you to my friend Hank. He knows all about this stuff.
Like, it's so bad. Like, I love the industry.
Gun people are like coke dealers.
They are. They absolutely are. And like the entire industry is like that. You don't even have to know somebody's name before you're already handing them a $4,000 pistol and some ammo. Like, dude, try
When I
this.
see California license plates, if I'm in the right scenario and I don't have somebody in the car who's just going to be annoyed by me, I roll the window like, "Hey man," I honk the horn like, "Hey man, I see you from Cali." They're like, "Did you get a fucking gun yet?" And
Yeah.
they're like, the guys are like, "Yeah, I got one here." I'm like, "Sweet man, welcome to Arizona." They're like, and they give me the look. I said, "Get the fuck out of here or go buy a gun. It's
Yep.
Arizona because we want patriots,
Yep.
not you libtards here."
Yep.
Well, listen, awesome having you here. It sounds like we could, we could freak people out in a diner just talking
I
smack.
think we should. I think we should definitely do it and
Do a
go film it.
Little
Like,
hidden camera.
yeah,
Is it a little hidden camera? Salt and pepper. We call it salt and pepper madness.
Right?
Okay.
No, it should be ebony and ivory.
Oh,
There you go. Just
okay.
let it out there.
All right. Okay. And I'll do the
That's
head
the
move.
GoFundMe for our bail money is going to be under that. So just
Oh no, I always carry bail money for two.
right. All right.
No, white
There we
guy.
go. Okay. You're a
White guy. I always keep bail money for
That
two.
privilege.
Yeah, that's it. I call it freedom privilege. I keep $3,000 in my pocket
Right.
at all times.
Good.
Awesome.
Oh
Well,
my
thanks for
God.
getting here.
Yes, thanks
Great.
for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, you filthy savages. Greg Medford from Medford Knife, MKT USA, out here in going there with Greg, and we went there today. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm out.
Detroit players, Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn. Dead right, if the head right, Biggie there, and night. Papa been smooth since days of under rules. Never lose, never choose to. Bruise, cruise, who? Do something to us. Talk, go through us. Girls want to us, wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Pump. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3. Bang every MC easily.
Take that.
Easily. Recently, niggas frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just speak my peace, keep my peace. Cubans with the Jesus peace, with my peace. Packing, asking who want it. You got it, nigga, flaunt it. That Brooklyn bullshit, we on it.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake.
I put hoes in NY onto DKNY. Miami, DC, prefer Versace.